And my research focuses on global environmental change. One of the themes has been to study how wildfires are changing at regional to global scales. And so in my lab, we've used different satellite data sets and remote sensing, other remote sensing data sets, climate models to study how fires interact with the atmosphere, how there's feedbacks where fires can change atmospheric composition and modify greenhouse gases, but also how the climate system, as it changes, how it potentially changes fire risk. And so we've discovered a couple of interesting things about global fire behavior, quantifying for the first time, for example, the human mortality from wildfires, from their exposure to smoke. We've documented how El Nino and La Nina cause the fire patterns to shift across the tropics. And also we've documented counterintuitively a global shift in wildfires and a drop in burned area and fire activity at a global scale that's caused by a loss of fire from ancient grassland ecosystems across savanna systems in Africa and South America, Australia, and also across like the Eurasian steppe. And so while fire is declining at a global scale, at the same time, it's becoming more intense and increasing in many temperate and boreal forest areas, including across Canada and Siberia. And I had a chance to do field work in Siberia, looking at how fires influence rates of permafrost thaw. And then another area that I've done field work is in Alaska, where we've looked at how fires influence the energy budget of the surface and change the surface reflectance and the amount of snow that's exposed. And that can have a local effect on climate. And so what about carbon?
Yeah, I thought you were studying carbon.
I do carbon too. Yeah, so I studied the global carbon cycle. And I have a paper that right now is receiving some feedback and attention for revisiting the global carbon cycle budget and how much emissions we're putting in by people and what's the role of these terrestrial ecosystems. And it suggests that the land is soaking up less carbon than we previously thought. That it's thought that a lot of these ecosystems are growing bigger, and it's true, they are a little bit in the northern hemisphere, but maybe not as much as we thought. And it's something that's important for trying to understand projections and also how close we are to a tipping point where the land system will shift from being a sink and soaking up and slowing climate change to where it'll be a source and it will be emitting carbon. And then, say in California, I'm just really excited, to collaborate with Sarah, and really am interested in thinking about and have worked on, forest responses to fire, and also what the role of Santa Ana events are and how Santa Ana events create fire risk, and trying to identify. I worked, I think, on one of the earlier papers to show that in Southern California there are these really two independent fire regimes and how they contribute to differences and impacts. The Santa Ana fires, unfortunately, are responsible for nearly all of our fatalities, all of our injuries to firefighters, whereas the summer fires, they burn just in the summer, they burn more slowly, and they require just as much resource to basically to suppress them because they burn for weeks and weeks. Even though the damages are actually considerably lower than the ones that are associated with these really strong fall winds in Southern California. So I'm excited to be a part of the Climate Collaborative, and I'm excited to really start this project with Sarah and work on try to improve our models of fire risk for Orange County.
That's okay.
I'm Sarah Kimball. I'm a professor in ecology and evolutionary biology, and I conduct research on plant community composition and how plant communities respond to global change factors like increasing wildfire, increasing temperatures, increasing drought, things like that. I don't know.
You're so short and sweet.
What am I supposed to, how long am I supposed to talk? Okay.
Yeah, as long as you want.
Okay. So I'm also the director of the Center for Environmental Biology and the director of research and partnerships for the Environmental Collaboratory. And the Environmental Collaboratory does community engaged research. So we work with local community groups such as the Crystal Cove Conservancy Inside the Outdoors, the Nature Conservancy, Crystal Cove State Park, Irvine Ranch Conservancy, Natural Communities Coalition. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch, but basically we talk to local land stewards and ask them what their research needs are. And so they will describe to us their research challenges, and then we have students work on doing these research projects to help solve local environmental challenges.